Hi everybody, Richie here. You're watching Feeling Blegh. Today I'm joined with Dan and Darren from Metal to the Masses. Gents, how we doing?
All good, cheers.
Good.
Oh, good, thank you. Dan, this is your second appearance on Feeling Blegh.
It is
But
indeed.
for those who haven't seen you, can you just give a quick reintroduction, please?
I am one of the promoters for Metal to the Masses East Anglia. Apart from that, that's all people really need to know about what I do.
And Darren?
And another one of the promoters to Metal to the Masses are on Dead Soul Promotions and the Music Room venue in Ipswich.
Nice.
That's pretty much. I also DJ at Bloodstock as well. That's probably worth putting in there.
Yeah, it's an accolade to that's definitely one to put on the CV and that. So,
Yeah, I've got nothing like that.
Right, so we're going to be talking about Metal to the Masses East Anglia 2026. How do you feel it went?
Really good.
Yeah, that final was very good, very successful. Had a lot of praise for it, a lot of good feedback on the night. People after the show, a couple of people that I know have spoken to me during the week that are telling me that they had a really good time. They've never been before. That was their first final. So yeah, good all around, I think.
Oh, well, I mean, I was at last year's final. That was my first final. I think this one blew that one away. So
Yeah, so I think anyone could have won that final. It was that tight. Everyone played really well. That's very, very tough.
Well,
Darren. Go on, sorry.
So Darren knows how beat I was at the end when we were in the room judging, and I just sat on the floor. I was done it. I was like, I just need to sit down.
I can honestly say I don't envy any of you guys that have had to judge this entire competition. 10 shows. So in 10 shows, 24 bands. And I did 43 interviews for that. So that's that was some hard work. So, right. So let's go back to it was the tail end of last year. Applications for it. What sort of time was that? I'm sorry. November, December time?
October, yeah. October, late October, early November, I think. Off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think I started messaging bands at the end of the year saying, get your applications in. Ipswich is obviously a lot smaller than Norwich, and the metal scene isn't as big as it used to be. So trying to get the ones that are sort of on the scene, because they deserve a shot at Bloodstock as well. So
yeah, this time Metal to the Masses Essex. Ian was having a year off. So there was I don't want to say overflow, but like there was a certain number of them coming over as well. All in all, how many applicants did you end up with? Ish.
I had to turn down one initially, but then when we had a dropout, two or three dropouts, I think it was, I had a couple more come through, some late ones just after, like, one of the ones was Eyes of an Eyeless came through, and literally I accepted them, and I got two more come through after that. I was like, sorry, I can't, because we've now accepted another band. So we had a few late ones after, especially when we were looking for additional bands, but the same bands keep applying. You know, I know there's a few bands out there that don't apply, who I wish would apply and try. Might name them later, but all in all, I think Ipswich filled out first. That's what I can say. I know obviously we have a lot less bands in Ipswich. I think in total we put on 9. Normally we do 8. If there's room for expansion there, by all means. But yeah, we filled out Ipswich first before Norwich. Sometimes it's the other way around. We feel like Norwich first. But yeah, we got to a point. So we had cut off was December 31st, and we did have to chase around a little bit to try and find a few bands. Some came from a bit further afield this time, but we've been doing it for a long time, and we've talked about it. Whether we have a break year, some people are yes, some people are no, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then it was 15th of January. The announcement was made.
If you can remember that date, then good for you.
January.
It's because I looked up this morning. Sort of. I don't wait. Yeah, 15th of January was the post for all the the original announcement.
Yeah.
I don't. Knock for Six family tuned in. Hello, Knock for Six boys.
Hello.
How are you all doing? Actually, speaking of them, that was because I'll go through this original thing. This original lineup. Knock for Six being in Heat 1.
Yeah.
The original was Hound, Alfairlin, Knock for Six, and Dismanibus.
Yeah.
2 was Far From Refuge, Azure Sky, Hedra, and Dirty Donations. Heat 3, Gehenna. It says Darkness to Light, but it was From Darkness to Light, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lease on Life and Hoof. Then Heat 4 was Erebus, Fallen Relic, Wicca, and Own Your Life. Then on the Ipswich side, Heat 1, we had Heated, Final Transmission, God Without, and the Winonas. And then Heat 2 was Regicide, Nailbed, War Bastard, and Unhinged. I'll be honest with you, going into this, I knew 1, 2, 3. There's 4 bands I'd heard before. And then which was Alfairlin, Azure Sky, Lease on Life, and Regicide. And Own Your Life as well, because as it happened, a lad I was working with at the end of last year, it was like someone in the band was like a friend of his girlfriend or a friend of his ex-girlfriend or something. He sort of passed that on. So I'd give them a bit of a listen beforehand. I had for my side of it, I had originally planned to try and listen to everything or listen to like certain things of everyone, so I had an understanding of stuff, like an attempt at journalism. But like I'd then gone and listened to a little bit of Not for Six. Gehenna was a name I've seen over the last couple of years, so I went and listened to a little bit of them, and I got to the thing where I was like, no, I like to hear people live for the first time if I've got an opportunity for it. So I binned that idea off after that. And then so coming up to Heat 1, Hound had dropped out, and then were replaced with Heat Seeker.
Yes. Sounds about right. Heat Seeker was good.
Yeah.
For a young band.
Old school sounding band, weren't they? Very old school.
That's
good.
Yeah. They surprised me.
When they started, I was like, God, this feels on Motorhead. And then the bass player started singing, and I was like, okay, that sort of it just adds to it. It's weird how a lot of the younger bands, especially in this competition, that like went. I don't want to say old school because some of the stuff is what we listened to in high school and stuff. So that feels like I'm making myself feel old. Playing that like old, I'll say it again, like Motorhead style thing for a group of lads who are about 20. It's sort of like,
yeah, I don't even think I know one of them was recently 18. I think it was the drummer. He was smashed by the end of the show. He was having such a good time. Yeah, I think they're like 18, 19, something like that. Really young.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm sorry I missed you, boys. They've got the whole lot for 6 lads here. How do?
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, they opened up that was brilliant. That was when we spoke to them afterwards, they said that they were looking for like some more gigs and to look to expand that. And yeah, I think they have a positive looking future, if I'm honest. After they played, Dismanibus had come on, which is one of the bands that had come over from the Essex lot. They were really good. I was sort of like, what did they say they were? I'm terrible with subgenres. I really am. It was some sort of death
melodic
metal.
death metal. Yeah, melodic death metal. Yeah.
Again, really good. Our feeling, I'm gonna say this right now. I had Al Feeling down as my personal favourite to win it.
Fair enough.
I don't want to put you guys in any position that you can't, because obviously you're judges and stuff. So I know you got to be neutral on everything. But like, and like me trying to look at it like not just because I'm I'm friends with several of the bands involved. It's like I try to, but like of the whole all the lineups, they are the only band from last year's final, and
Yeah.
they played a show on Valentine's Day where 2 of the acts had to pull out for illness, and they were like last second last second headliner to change, and the way that they stepped up like that, you know what I mean? I was like, especially because last year they got to the final and they were only a quartet for like 3 weeks, I think, beforehand. It was between back then and now, 2 different bands. Like it's for the information I had them down as favourites for it and that. But like I said, I'd gone in a lot of the others blind. And then Knock for Six happened, which if they're still watching, I might give them a few big heads. Yeah, that was mental. I can't remember the last time I was in the Brickmakers and I saw a mosh pit that insane. Like that, the energy in that was just crazy. So I don't mean to keep talking. Feel free to tell me to shut up so you can say something.
No, you're doing good, man.
So yeah, they were absolutely incredible, and like I didn't catch as much as I'd like. I only caught like a song and a half because of doing interviewing the other bands and stuff. Because I was working with Obi from Al Feeling with his podcast of sorry so yeah. I will not stop, Joe. But now so like Obi and I have been catching I've been working with Obi from Al Feeling because he'd been doing stuff for Chaos Under No Ties. But after Dismanibus had played, he had to get ready to play, which was fair. So we kind of like did them and Al Feeling in one hit. So we kind of, which we didn't, by the time we got saw, we didn't catch as much for Knock for Six as we'd like to have. But like, just for the little that we caught, it was like, wow. When you, well, we saw that we were like that's a band for a final, like straight away. That was we're 10 seconds into the competition, and you could see a strong contender straight away. From you guys' point of view, like how do you feel everything went?
I personally, I feel like we did Al Fairland a disservice this year. I didn't realise that they had their own lights until the final, and I was speaking with Steph, and she was, "Oh yeah, we were told we couldn't use our own lights." I'm like, I can't remember if that was. It might have been a thing last year, but this year, like quite a few bands had their own lights. So yeah, I feel like we did them a bit of a disservice in the heat and the semi for not allowing them to use their lights. But by all means, they definitely could have used their lights. And that final with the light show, it just made it something a bit more special.
It hit
And
harder, didn't it?
yeah, and apparently they have smoke machines as well. Now the brick makers unfortunately can't have smoke effects due to their smoke alarms. But I did say I would love to go see a show and see all the smoke effects as well, just to see how it's all atmospheric and brings it all together. So they're definitely someone that I'd go out my way and see with all the bands as well. You know, definitely go see Not for Six in my spare time.
Yeah.
They were ripping. They'd love them. You know, that first time I saw them, they did blow me away.
Yeah, I say Al Fairland for me. They're one of my favourite UK bands at the moment. Discovered them obviously last year. The light show definitely adds another element to the sound, but I think they're pretty unique in what they're doing. We don't have many bands around the UK doing that, so it was nice to see a band like that. First time I saw them, I put them on in Ipswich with Sylvain, which is one of their big influences. So they were really happy with that. And then obviously in Norwich, so yeah, they've done well.
Yeah, I listen to them quite regularly, if I'm honest. So the only thing is like you can't just chuck a quick Al Fairland song on. I think their shortest song is like 6 minutes. So, but no, I did say when I spoke to them afterwards, I was like, your songs hit hard anyway. But with that light show on top of that, it was just something extra. And but yeah, so coming in the evening, obviously, well, Al Fairland and Not for Six both went through. I don't know how much you can say, but like, was that an easy choice?
I can't remember. I've binned all the paperwork now. I had all the voting slips, so I knew exactly, but they're all in the bin now, so I can't remember. But I think it was pretty split. So what we were doing in the heats was not winners per se, but people, the bands that are progressing. So,
Yeah.
you know, we don't want to brand winners and losers in the heats because, you know, it's just these bands are progressing and these bands. So Norwich, we weren't doing wildcards, and we knew that from the off pretty much, especially with the guest headliners. And Ipswich, Darren has a lot more flexibility than us, obviously, because he runs the venue, whereas we don't run the brickmakers. We just put the show on there.
Yeah.
So when Darren turned around and he wanted like wildcards and Ipswich, is like, yeah, fine, whatever. They're technically his shows to run. So if he says he wants so many bands, then we'll oblige. But yeah, with Norwich, we were pretty much, especially with semi-final two, where we had two guest headliners. That one would have been a bit more harder. Obviously, I weren't there until the very end, and which was very interesting. I have watched back the video. We can discuss that later if you wish.
Many bleeps, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think it was pretty split. Yeah, I think we knew at the end of that it was Al Fairland and Not for Six. I can't remember the exact vote for them, but we knew it was clear that it was them two going through.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's kind of one of the things where, like, yeah, it's not, because it's far from any of the bands, the other bands being bad. It's far from that. It's like, and like I said, I have not envied anybody on the judges panel in the heats, the semi-finals, the final. Like, yeah, I couldn't. What's the word? I couldn't deal with that. Yeah, sort of thing. That's I'm glad it's you guys. Before I rambled it. So, all right. Hold on, too soon. I've got a couple of messages here. Right. So it says here. So this is Bobby, our overlord, from Nerdic Pro. Hello. And then he very nicely asks me, when am I inviting him to a gig, you prick? Well, if you didn't live in Hunstanton and I had to go too far away, I'd probably take you with one. But um, to be fair, right, he did. I did get him to come to a gig once. He's not a metalhead at all. In King's Lynn, there was in the Lattice House, they had a gig there. Had Archives, Celestial, and Eyes of Nihilus playing. I believe Eyes of Nihilus had put it on, and I yeah I'd gone, two reasons. One, it's my hometown, so like I don't ever see gigs around this way. That's why I come to Norwich a lot, you know. And then my friends were playing, so it was kind of like one of those things where I can get dropped off by the missus, have a few beers, and then get picked up again. I ain't got to drive 68 miles. And I managed to get him to come along, and he's still not a metalhead, but he bloody enjoyed the evening because we did have some of the Celestial boys on beforehand. So, but right, anyway, back to the thing before I start rambling again. Next one was the first heat in Ipswich, which was my first trip to the music rooms, and it was also my first trip to Ipswich that wasn't football related. So, and so that was a bit of a strange one. That one we had Heated, again, another band that we'd had come over from the Essex lot, Final Transmission, God Without, and the Winonas. The Winonas opened up a punk band, sort of like caught me off guard because I sort of like I blinked and I'd met the singer like just before their set, and he was basically in a suit, and then I blinked and he was in a dress, and that threw me off. But I'm not normally into punk, but I very much enjoyed that. They were great
Yeah, I
to
think
chat to afterwards.
good energy like live as well, so I think that helps. Like even metalheads can get into them as well.
One thing I liked was the fact that all the way through it, like, yeah, we're not going through. This is we're not a metal thing. You're here to see metal bands, not us. But yeah, it was like through. It's sort of not like acceptance, but it's like they were kind of just like, yeah, we're here for a good time, sort of thing. You know, whatever happens kind of thing. And like I said, they were great to talk to afterwards, and that it's sort of extremely friendly. I said it was like, the only thing was sort of like I sort of blinked and he went from a suit to a dress, and I was like, oh, okay. And then they got sorted and it got changed again. I was like, cool, all right. Which I'd seen a video there like earlier that morning, and I hadn't even clicked that he did the same thing in this video from a previous gig. And then I saw it again later on. I was like, oh yeah, so, yeah. But yeah, so they played first. God Without played afterwards. A sludge band, which is a new one for me. One I wasn't really into the time. I get again, just like Heatseeker, another very young band. Then followed by Heated, which I kind of had some high hopes for again, not because I'd had anything to do with it, it's when I'd interviewed them beforehand, when I asked them what they were and what genre they were, and they went deathcore. I looked at my brother-in-law looked at me, we smiled, and then sort of I said that's our we kind of got a certain expectation for that, and then trying to find transmission afterwards. They didn't really classify themselves as a specific genre, but they said they get quite compared to like post-hardcore the most. So they sort of again, I absolutely brilliant evening. I really enjoyed the Winonas. It's like I got on my list that I need to go and listen to more of it. I just haven't got round to it because I get easily distracted by fucking everything else. Go Without, I think it's going to be another one of those bands that's got a bright future if they keep to it. Heated blew me away. Exactly the same as Knock for Six. I thought, oh, this could be a final band here. And then Final Transmission, thoroughly enjoyed that. My thing for them was more post show because I then like over the next couple of days started listening to that EP that they'd released the day before, and like for me it was quite a early to mid 2000s throwback. So it sort of took me back to my teens and sort of like I quite enjoyed that. Me personally, for that, I had Heat and Final Transmission to go through. You guys have gone with God Without instead of Final Transmission. Again, how do you think? I can't talk now. How do you guys think everything went?
I think there was a good night because it was every band was completely different to each other. Like we had punk, and then you post metal, and then you sort of sludgy stuff as well. So I think overall it was a good night. I think that's one of the things I like about Metal to the Masses. Bloodstock as well. Obviously, they do appeal to, I think, what they had Flogging Molly last year, and they get some oddballs out there. So I think any sort of punk metal crossover will do quite well in the competition. Obviously, post metal as well.
Yeah, for me, that it all seems a blur now. But to what I can remember, just without like a lot of their fan base wasn't there because they're all under the age of 18. Some of the band members are just over the age of 18, so they didn't have their usual following there because of the restrictions in the music room. But as a young band, they've messaged me about, oh, what can they do to help themselves, get better. So I've messaged them back saying, stage stuff. They need to work on their stage stuff. Like the sound for me, for them, for being that young, it's like it was there. The more they play together, the tighter they'll get. But just work on your stage presence from now, and everything else will fall in naturally. And Heated were another one that I had no idea who they were, and they blew me away. And I was just like, I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I do like some of that sort of stuff. I was just like, ooh. So personally, I already knew who I wanted to go through. We did have a chat in the kitchen because that's where we go sometimes, and in the music room is into the kitchen behind the bar. The Winonas personally, not for me. I had some negative interactions with them beforehand and on the night. So for me, it's kind of like they were. I get it that they're punk, but there was some lack of professionalism there for me with them. Just the interactions we had just kind of didn't put me in the right mindset for them. And Final Transmission, they were great as well.
Yeah, like Darren said, like it's having a very varied night. Especially for someone like myself who's musical, who's
That was the semi-final. So Ollie was the new addition. Obviously, their drummer couldn't make it, and they just then in the process of losing their bass player. So it was pre-light show, but what the energy that Ollie brought to the stage and these vocals this year has come a long way. They were by the final. My God, they were. I had a word with them. I'm so proud of them. How far along they've come, even just like from playing in the first heat with bloody Ed Sheeran on the drum kit. So I was really proud of how. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, they're really proud of how well.
That was the last one. That was the last one.
I'm sure they'll get more.
Yes.
No, it'll be another band next. You'll have a banner for the next one.
But he was spot on. I think with the lineup. Hedra had a bit of first band syndrome. I think in their heat. You know what you're going to get with Hedra. I liked the luminescent stuff. That was definitely bringing another element into the show. It's different. We like different. We like a bit of change up. We like to see evolution of bands over the years. We like to see evolution, see how they're growing. Like I say, with Azure Sky, the light show, the change of band members just raised their game. Dirty Donations, big surprise.
I
love
really
them
enjoyed them.
Yeah, I like Clutch, and they just remind me of Clutch. And then who was the other one? Sorry.
Far From Refuge.
Far From Refuge. Oh my God, how hard he hits that drum kit. That poor snare drum. Like, he's a machine behind that drum kit.
Yeah.
They are really good. If we had a wild card, they would have been in the wild card contention, definitely. In Norwich. But...
You say about that horse there. I mean, like they're dry. He's a big lad.
Yeah,
When we chatted to him afterwards, we saw like because the vocalist had he had the what's it called, Dead Souls You Died across his chest.
oh right, yeah.
And then when we were interviewing him, he had a jacket on with the Mass Effect N7 on. And at one point, they said that this song was inspired by the World of Warcraft, and then they I can't remember which song it was, when I said to her, so like you mentioned that, like and I pointed out the end of it. I completely forgot about the "You Died" shirt at this point. As I said, so his video games kind of like a big inspiration for you. And he sort of like opened his jacket and showed the "You Died" part, and he goes, yeah, we're all big nerds apart from, and then points at the drummer. He goes, he just likes to pick heavy stuff and throw them on the floor. I was like, I mean, okay, fair. Just yeah, Darren, how do you think? What did you think about it?
That was the one that I couldn't make. I believe my band was playing somewhere else. I can't remember where, but yeah, I play in a black metal band called Star Saga, and we were on tour at that time. So I missed that one. However, I had seen all the bands before, either in Ipswich or in Colchester. I think Dirty Donations. I think I saw them last year in the Essex one. So yeah, I was familiar with all the bands before.
Yeah.
But yeah, Azura Sky, I remember seeing them last year, and this year they've come a long way, like in the last year. So that was really good to see.
Right. So Hedra and Azure Sky had gone through to the semi-finals after that one. Next up we had Ipswich Heat 2. Now, the original lineup was Regicide, Nailbed, War Bastard, and Unhinged. Unhinged had pulled out and then were replaced by Killer Core. Was that a quick replacement where that was concerned?
That was pretty quick, yeah. Yeah, I think you sorted that out, didn't you?
Yeah, I think Unhinged lost a member. Like they played a show and then they lost a member. Like I don't know, it wasn't long before the gig. So yeah,
I think Killer Core was announced like the Tuesday or the Wednesday before.
Well, they were actually at. Yeah, I remember now. We were all at a gig at the music room, and then they saw the slot was available. So at the after party, that's where the talk spoke, and then I messaged Jakey, and yeah, they all very keen. Obviously, their bass player couldn't make it because he was playing Metal to the Masses in Brighton with his other band. That was unfortunate, but
yeah. So we had Spirit Killer Core. They opened up. They were awesome. Would you say metalcore with sprinkles of deathcore into it?
Grindcore, extreme metal. They got a nice blend of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they opened up, followed by Nailbed, which I really enjoyed. I feel that they got done a little dirty just on the fact of how heavy the other bands were, right?
It was a heavy night.
And then I can't remember which way around it was either War Bastard then Regicide or Regicide then War Bastard. I can't remember. War Bastard. When I asked them what genre they didn't fuck around about. It was BDM, brutal death metal. But I barely finished asking, but okay. I thought that was straight out with that one. They were awesome. Like when I went to the first heat, the only people I knew there was you two, Rory, Millie, and Lauren. And Chris was there. And that's pretty much all I knew. It was down there. Whereas like for the second one, there was a lot more. Like D had come down from Azure Sky. Jesse and Liam, formerly of Celestial, were down there as well. I can't remember one or two others as well. I don't remember, but like everyone was saying about how good War Bastard were. As I'd mentioned earlier, Regicide was the only one I knew for the Ipswich Heats because I'd seen them at the Brickmakers Christmas show just beforehand, and I like me some thrash. That was one of my early roots into getting the metal through some mates at college, and yeah, I've been a fan since. The way I looked at it, because sort of War Bastard and Regicide going through, it was I had it as anyone between any two between Regicide, War Bastard, and Killer Core was the right choice, but whichever one you left out was the wrong choice. I know it sounds a bit daft, but like that's the only way I could say about it. It's sort of again, Nailbed is another young band that I think really is going to go places once they get some more experience and stuff behind them. I know they're recording stuff at the minute. I think they released a single a couple of days ago, actually. Yeah, how was it for you guys?
It was a tough one. It was the first time I saw War Bastard, and yeah, they blew me away. I was really impressed by that. I think some of them are just 18 as well. But yeah, that was, I've seen the name around, gigs here and there, but yeah, straight away when they came on, I was like, I was thinking, yeah, they'll definitely be in the final. Like, that's how I felt about them. And then people say Killer Corp, they're always good live. They're sort of local favourites now. It's a shame that they didn't have the bass player with them. But yeah, they always put on a good show. Nailbed have come a long way as well. They're doing really well. Obviously, different style. I'd say bit of grunge in there. I'd say bit of lighter elements to it. It was Regicide. I've seen them many times as well. Thrash. I'm personally not a huge thrash fan. I'm more into like the extremes or Black Death and Doom, but I like Slayer and Exodus and stuff like that as well. But Regicide, to me, they've got a bit more element. They've got a bit of heavier stuff in there as well. I think they said they a bit influenced by hardcore as well. But they've got some elements where they're more death metal-y, catchy sort of groove riffs as well as the solid thrash sound. So it was another tough heat. Compared to some like other competitions I've gone to in different areas where from the start of the competition you kind of think, oh, clear winners. I think this one was the most difficult that I've been to, and I've been going to them, what was I say, since 2011, I think was my first time I went to Metal to the Masses. So that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was the first one where we had to ask additional people for input.
Yeah.
You had your drum tech.
Yeah. My drummer was there as well.
So yeah, it was the first hard show that we had. So you got to remember this is show 3, and it's just like, oh my god, who do we pick here? And it was a toss up, and I think that's when you turned around and said, well, can we have a wild card in Ipswich? And we like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it ended up being 3 of the bands. I think Killer Corp were a little bit plagued with not having the bass player, and I believe the singer was also ill.
Yeah.
So he was struggling, but they still put on a good show. But yeah, War Bastard was just like, ooh, I like this. I've spoken to them, and I was like, you guys just remind me of very early Cannibal Corpse and Obituary, and it's like, yeah, that's what we're going for. It's just like, you can tell. Yeah. And it was the first time I'd seen Regicide as well. Like I'd heard of them, and I'd heard good things about them, but it was the first time I saw them. And it was like, I do like thrash. I've put it out there. absolutely love my thrash metal, so they're right up my street. They had a good show, and they got progressively better throughout the competition. Personally, for me as well. But yeah, it was the first one where you kind of had to stand back and go, right, okay, we've got some competitions now getting harder already.
Yeah. I'd said that, like, with this, because Regicide and Warbastard, two of the bands that had come over from the Essex lot as well. I'd said about how the some of those bands coming over to the East Anglia, it made everything step up, and I made a very good point of the fact that the whole competition, like, every year, is just like everyone's stepping up. Whether it's bands that played previously, like, each year, or however long they've been in, stepping up their game, or whether it's new bands that just come out of nowhere. It's like, oh, who are these? Again, no, I'm so glad I don't have to judge this. I do not envy you guys at all. Because I just, I mean, I don't think I could say neutral enough as what it is anyway. But yeah. So get over to it. Regicide and Warbastard were the two picks to go through. Killer Core were then given the wild card spot. We'll just cut things. Right, so we have Will from Knock for Six saying afternoon. He is pointing out that it's I'm putting my thumb over my camera, but you ain't gonna miss stuff. There is him showing his old name for some reason. And he too says it was a great show and doesn't envy you guys either. So it's sort of like, you know the competition's fierce when when someone from one of the bands is like, ugh. Moving on. That sounded like I dismissed that. I didn't mean to sound like that. Heat 3, Norwich Heat 3 was the next show. We had Gehenna, From Darkness to Light, Lease on Life, and Huff. I believe Huff was the last band of everyone that had come over from the Colchester lot, because I don't remember if Erebus were or not, if I'm absolutely honest.
I think they're Norwich based.
I think Erebus, Stowmarket or somewhere like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you say that sounds about right. Right, so we had who opened up that night? That was, I don't remember
From
now.
Darkness to Light.
I
think it
thought
was
there were
from
like a
Darkness to
couple
Light.
bands in. No, Gehenna opened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the alt rock. I think they say it describe themselves as. I tell you what, no wonder I keep seeing their name everywhere. They were absolutely brilliant. I don't know. I couldn't think of anyone to compare them to. We had they played. Then From Darkness to Light followed, which kind of like a hardcore-y ish.
Yeah.
Hardcore new metal kind of sound. Then after that it was Huff, who were absolutely fucking incredible. They were amazing, right? A bit more of the punk side of that, and I didn't see anybody that found any criticism there. Everyone was smiling. I was up near the front where they were playing, and everyone's smiling and bouncing and head banging and whatnot. And some of the guys I stood with, they're watching the drummer, and they're like, "Are you seeing him do all this crazy shit?" And like, I'm not a musician, so I don't see what they're seeing. But I mean, I thoroughly had a good time listening to them. That really nice guys. I mean, a lot of these bands I would go out my way to go see, but like they are further towards the top of the list for all the bands that I've discovered this year. And then last top of the bill was Lease on Life. Again, another band who were very early last year. Another punk band, and Lease on Life last year, Lease on Life this year, two completely different bands. And they were absolutely brilliant. How do you guys see it?
So I had a great time that night, especially being part of the drum kit at the end of the night.
I forgot about
that.
Just for a bit of context, everybody, one of the stands for the bass drum broke and it kept falling off.
Yeah. So I love Johanna's duet singing. I think it's great. It's so good. They made the final a couple of years ago. This is when we did Cambridge. They stormed through Cambridge, flew through, made it to the final. I think, they stand out, but I think they get a bit lost in the shuffle in Norwich. I love what they do though. I do love that duet singing. I think it's great. From Darkness to Light, they've got, they're going to be up and coming. They've got a bit of work to do, but I can see in the future that they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Hoof blew me away. I thoroughly enjoyed that set. It was nothing like I'd ever seen before. It was just like, this is mad. And like I say, that drummer was just doing stuff that was just like, what? And then, Lease on Life. It was weird seeing a set sitting at the drum kit, because that's where I spent about half the set. But it had a good energy, and just being on that stage as well, you could just feel the energy from them and the crowd, and that projected through. So they had a bit of tech issues last year with the guitarist, but that's kind of they settled that now, and you could hear a lot more. The guitar was like way too loud last year, and it was noted. And it's like, your guitar needs to come down, then we can like mix it better. Then we can hear the other band members. They've taken that on board, and they sounded phenomenal, both front of house and on the stage. I know obviously I wear earplugs, and it's a good job I do, because I was just poof, poof, poof most of the time, because obviously the kick drum was there and I had the hi-hat above the head. But I could still hear in my other ear everything else from the stage. So and the monitors, because obviously you've got the monitors at the front of the stage and it was coming through there. But on and off the stage, they sounded good. So.
Darren?
Yeah, I thought it was another mixed night. It was almost like a lighter night compared to like the Ipswich, which was really heavy, and then this one was more kind of like lighter bands, but still really good bands. Lease on Life, really enjoyed them. Sort of mix of like punk and metal. Johanna, they're always good every time I've seen them. Oof, I think I may have seen them before, but I wasn't sure. That was crazy. And from Doctors Tonight, I think they're like a brand new band from what I can see. I couldn't find much about them online. It was coming up with multiple band names like similar to things, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But
I had the same issue, because I was trying to find their social so I could get in contact with them. So in the end, I think I messaged Rory about it, and he was like, speak to Dan. So I messaged Dan, and Dan was like, I got a couple of email addresses. I was like, oh, okay, I'll
their social media presence, I don't think they might have something now, but at the time it was non-existent.
I think they said that was like their second gig, or I can't remember if they said that was a second gig, or like they'd only been together they'd only been like thinking like 2 months. I don't remember. It was very early on. I mean, like literally, the only criticism I had about it was the vocalist was singing off of sheets.
That proves how fresh they are. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a minor thing, sort of.
To be
Handful
fair,
of
I've been side stage at Bloodstock on the Sophie stage. I won't name the bands, but I've seen some quite big bands, and they don't have the sheets, but they have like a screen on their monitor with the lyrics, and I was like, okay, interesting. But I get if you're brand new bands, yeah. I mean, I don't know which way would be better. I've seen other bands that have like a little iPad on the screen as well, just hooked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're brand new and you're still learning lyrics, then there's that. But yeah, I don't know. That to me, I don't know. I think that did take away from the show because you could tell he couldn't really get into the crowd interaction because you've got to read a sheet. But like you say, they're a brand new band, so fair play to them for getting up and entering the competition and giving it a go.
Yeah, I mean, other than that was the only criticism I could give because, like I've said before, like I don't have a musical bone in my body. But like, other than that, I thought it sounded great. The guitars, I think the drummer had been with them like a week or two, because I think they just replaced the drummer as well. Because I did notice that the guitarist was like trying to give him some cues, here and there. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm not a great deal into hardcore, but I did enjoy it. I do like a little bit here and there, as long as it sounds good. It's not I wouldn't be going out of my way to go to a hardcore night, but if hardcore band's on, I'm gonna go enjoy them. Yeah, sort of just as I would everyone else. So yeah, end of the evening, ended up with Gehenna and Lease on Life going through. Which I'll be honest with you, I couldn't argue with, but I was gutted the Hoof didn't go through. Yeah. As I say though, like, that's definitely a band that I'm going to be. Well, yeah, I find out they're going to Norwich again or somewhere a bit more closer to me. I'm definitely going to go to that. Heat 4. So the original lineup was Erebus, Fallen Relic, sorry, Wicker, and Own Your Life. Own Your Life pulled out and was replaced by Insidious. And then Fallen Relic pulls out and is replaced by Eyes of Nihilist. Now, where Heat 4 was concerned, where the Norwich ones were, when I looked at those lineups, I was like, right, I'm friends with Alf Erlen. I got that in there. I'm friends with the Juice guy. I got them in that one. Number 3, I'm friends with Lease on Life. Well, Heat 4, blank sheet. I ain't got a dog in the fight. I ain't got nothing. That's great. It's a complete clean. Sorry, my friends in my fellow Kings Lynn band are now in there. Like, so that's my complete neutrality gone. So yeah, had Eyes of Nihilist open that night, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Eyes opened.
Yes.
I believe Erebus was second on, followed by Insidious and then Wicker. Erebus, yeah, they'd only had like 2 or 3 gigs beforehand. Either they had 2 or 3, or that was like their second or third one. Wicker and Insidious, both two very young bands. When Insidious, they're all still in college, sort of thing. So they're still very, very young. But like I said earlier about playing old school stuff, and it's stuff that I was listening to when I was 12, and it was that early 2000s, new metal style, both musically and stage presence wise, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. Then we had Wicker. When I spoke to them, they described themselves as a slightly heavy Adam and the Ants, which I thought was an undersell. I thought they were a very good heavy rock band. We definitely had elements of metal in it. One of the songs they played, it opened up. I'm like, that, it was Iron Maiden as fuck. I don't know if anyone's noticed. I may be a fan, right? Because I think if I remember correctly, the song sounded like very 2 Minutes to Midnight as it opened up, and I was like, that's got my attention. And oh, hello. Ian's here. How do, sir?
No.
And we have big up Insidious. I'm assuming a member of Insidious. So get back to it. Eyes and Eyes opened up. I saw them 2 years ago. That thing I mentioned earlier about in Lynn. That was the first time I saw them. I saw them a couple months later at the Waterfront. I see them at semi-finals last year of Metal to the Masses, and again, it's another band that's just getting better and better every year. Excuse me. And I will not bullshit. I have a certain level of bias there for again, like I am friends with the guys, and also King's Invoice. So they get better and better. Erebus, a sludge kind of doomy band. Thoroughly enjoyed them. That sort of like I got put onto Frog Lord end of last year, I think it was. So really enjoyed them. So stuff that's sort of similar that style. That is something I'm slowly getting into. So they did have quite a few similar elements, which I don't know if they'll take it. I hope they take it as a compliment. As I say, Insidious. That was another throwback sort of thing to that early to mid 2000s new metal kind of thing. That again, it's one of my early music things. So and then Wicker is like a throwback to what I grew up listening to, because I grew up with my dad listening to Queen and AC/DC and Iron Maiden and all that sort of stuff. That's probably the foundations of what started my stuff. Again, a very varied night. How do you guys feel for it all?
So I've spoken with Eyes of an Iris, and I do really like them, and I've spoken to them about this, like very Meshuggah-y. I put Catch 33, one of the Meshuggah albums, in my car the other day, and I was listening to it, and I was just like, this sounds like Eyes of an Iris. So I can tell where they get their sound from, and I do love them guys. They're great. They're great bunch of guys. I don't know them beforehand. Just had conversations with Mike, the singer, about stuff. Their sound, and I do really like them, and they have got better. And their stage show is coming along as well. Erebus, they were great. Doom band. You said they've been playing that long. It's bands like them, bands like Insidious, another young band. Future's good for them. Insidious is, the female singer for Insidious. It was just like, she's got some pipes on her. Both two young bands. Future's good with them. And Wicker, they were surprised. Like I say, they weren't the most metal bands. In fact, they were probably the least metal band out of all the competition, but they were great.
Yeah.
And for such a young band to be that tight and professional, and they had a good stage presence, they had a good front man. It's all the stuff that you look for. And you could just tell that even though they're young, they've done. It was like they'd done research. That they'd watched bands to see what they do, and they right. We need to do this sort of thing, and they went out there and they did it.
I'll tell you one thing that impressed me the most. It might sound a bit daft. Their keyboard player. Like listen to the, it reminded me of some like late 70s, early 80s sort of like rock and metal that's got keyboards in. If it felt like that. I don't remember a great
Hawkwind.
deal of those things, but what I do remember, that's what it felt like. If that makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah, you got bands like Hawkwind, they had like keyboard players and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's good. It's nice to see a keyboard player live because a lot of time these days, obviously, bands use a lot of backing tracks, and but I think when you have a live keyboard player, visually it just looks better, and it's good to see. It's
We
quite
had
rare
two.
to see them nowadays. So,
Yeah, we had two. Johanna have keyboarders.
Oh yeah.
I can see Insidious as well. Like I can't recall seeing like a new metal band other than the Violent Incident, which is the guys from Chop Suey, who was System of a Down tribute, which they wrote as like a new metal album, almost like for a bit of fun, and it turned out to be like a really good album. But since then, there does seem to be a bit of a surgence of the new metal coming back round. But yeah, as a brand new band, they ticked all the boxes for like a new metal band. I was impressed by them. Eyes of the Nihilist, they were really good. I remember seeing them last year. I think they added the lights this year as well, which brought a new element to it. I know Lauren wasn't happy with the the lights because she didn't get a decent photo. But visually, from a point of view, it brought a new element to them. Wicker. Who was the other one we got on? Oh, Erebus. Yeah,
Erebus.
I had them. Yeah, I had them in Ipswich. I've known some of the guys a while from other bands. They're doing really well. Again, it's such doom that you don't get many of those bands in this area. It's quite popular overall in the UK now, but I like that they're still got that sort of Black Sabbath influence in them. So yeah, that was really cool.
I absolutely love the bass player's bass.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was enjoying the band, but I just like fell in love with the bass. I was like, I wish I had that. I wish I could have learned. I'm a failed pop punk bass player, right? But like, I do enjoy watching people play bass. I think, and then I saw what's the play? I think it was fretless as well. I think it was, and but I was watching it, I was like, that is a really pretty bass. And sort of like that was like one of my highlights of their set, was not just that they sounded great. I was like, I want that, but it's really expensive for me to have another ornament in the bedroom. So
Never too late to learn. Never too late.
it's not the first time I've been told that. So I do keep threatening on dusting it off, but then it's like, then I get doing something else, and it just sort of sits there in the corner. Ian has said, "Good to see you," and very good to see you, sir. Actually, I was going to take this opportunity to say thank you for not running Metal to the Masses Essex this year, because some of the bands that would be in your show that have overflowed into to this side have been absolutely incredible, and sort of a lot of us this way may not have discovered him, not necessarily yet, but like or at all, like, had it not been for them coming over to the East Anglian Metal to the Masses. So thank you, sir, for taking some time out.
Did you see him at the final?
Yes, I did. I've got popped over to say hello.
I took him to the
He
waterfront
wouldn't come
after.
to judge.
Sorry.
He wouldn't come and judge.
I
I don't blame him.
well, we'll get there in a minute. But like, I did work out like the Thursday or the Friday before. I was like, hold on, this is like Essex versus Norfolk now, because like, the bands that are involved, it was 3 Norfolk bands, 3 Essex bands. So, but yeah, so we'll get to that in a minute. So Heat 4 finished with Eyes of a Nihilist and Wicker both going through. I think it was, like I said, putting bias aside, I think it was one of the things where Eyes of a Nihilist stood out extremely hard that show, and that was a 3-way fight that I don't envy the choice for, having to make that judgment for. But this is something I should have brought up like beforehand. So we then went on. That's what I didn't bring up. Ipswich Heat. We had Fracture Point headline. I just on Heat 1, who were awesome. And then I always mess up saying their name. Heat 2, we had Silicium from France, and I've got the bloody logo up rather than the actual name up. Who?
Digora from London.
They were awesome. They would do a tour together, wouldn't they? So, Ian has said, I trained my Padawans well. I was referenced. Yeah.
I've seen Regicide were in the Essex finals before. Not for 6 or some incarnation of that. They were in it as well, but they've come so far with Will on vocals. It's just brought like a new element to them as a band.
I was just about to say, Ian. Well, I spoke to Ian on the first night about Not for Six. He said Not for Six were good. He goes, well, when the vocalist, when they changed vocalist to Will, it's gone next level. I was like, okay. And I did mention that when we were interviewing him afterwards, and he started getting a little bit of a big head, so he started shying away and stuff. And it's quite funny. Right. So semi-final one we had. It was. Give me 2 seconds to find it because I've lost it. Semi-final one we had Not for Six, Alfairlin, Azure Sky, and Hedra with Existentialist headlining. Headlining. Hedra, Alfairlin opened. Again, absolutely brilliant.
They got unlucky this competition, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They opened up with Hedra's second. No, it was just Sky second. And the only reason I remember that is because we had Hedra in the dark again. Azure Sky were on second, Hedra third, Not for Six on fourth. Hedra, when you mentioned earlier, they had all the luminescent stuff on, fluorescent green, glow in the dark strings on the drums. Guitarist refused to wear. He was supposed to have the same gloves as everybody else, but I think his were faulty. That's why he didn't use them.
Had the holographic sign. for that show as well.
Yeah,
Because when I got on and off the stage, they were like, "Mind your face on that." As you walk past it, it's like, yeah, because it's just this fan spinning around really fast.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll stay away from
that. So I mean, like we mentioned earlier, like Hedra had that first ban on curse. But that one that was the Hedra that I'd been told about beforehand. You know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant. I am so glad I didn't have to judge that one because everyone stepped their game up.
Mm-hmm.
Not for Six ultimately were the band to go through. Again, how was it for you guys?
It was close. You know, Azure Sky had then bought their lighting rig in, and that changed the dynamic completely. You know, when the lighting rig is programmed to the music, it makes all the difference. You know, there's only so much the house can do with the lights, especially if they don't particularly know the music. So when bands bring their own lighting rigs and it's time for their music, it makes a hell of a difference. You see why like you look at bands like Meshuggah and the lighting set out for that. It's a light show. It's amazing. You know, you see why all these big bands have amazing shows because the lights, the pyro, and all that, they make a difference. And no, we cannot have pyro in either of the venues, so don't even try it. But lights, I'm all for. You know, especially if they're hooked up because it just changes it, makes it more bigger, makes it feel bigger. You know, Hedra with their additional stuff were good as well. You know, the gloves, obviously, say the bass player Downey's gloves didn't work, but yeah, they had the holographic sign at front. Again, Al Fairland did a disservice, didn't realise that they had lights, so they could have used them then as well. That would have changed their set there as well and brought a different feel to it. And then, yeah, Not for Six just came and kicked ass again. It's just like, at that point, you know, you're in the semi-finals and you have a feeling of what's gonna, you know, which way it can go. You don't know on the night. You know, obviously, you could have a dreadful night. Like, any band can have a dreadful day, and then it just be like, okay, we messed up, we didn't get through. But everyone still came and they bought their A game, and but Not for Six would just stand up and just stole that show personally. But all the bands did good. You know, there was 2 wild cards out of that one heat alone.
Yeah.
Which we'll get onto a lot later.
So fast forward a little bit. Oh, sorry, Darren. Sorry, I skipped past you. Sorry.
Everyone that stepped up just from the heat alone, all the bands there, they stepped up. Azure Sky's light show. I think I was at the bar when they started. I sort of turned around and obviously it was pitch black, and then their lights come in. It was almost like you're at a stadium instead of, you know, just in a venue sort of thing. So it was good to see that they incorporated that. And then everybody else, they just up their game again. That was a difficult one. I remember at the end of that night, I was debating which of the top 2 or whatever. So that was very difficult. But yeah, another good night.
And shout out to Existentialist. You know, I saw them last year in Ipswich. And, so what we tried to do this year was, so me, Chris, and Rory try and bring in guest headliner each, and I was on the side of bringing in Existentialist. I had Ollie actually message me as we were discussing them being guest headliner, saying, "Oh, are there any guest headline slots?" And I was just like, bear with me, we're just in the middle of dealing with it, and it's just like Existentialist a message, shovel a message them back saying, yeah, we'll have it. So we offered them the show, and you know, we had a great time with them. I think they had a great time with us. You know, hope they did.
Yeah, I'd seen them once before. It was Christmas show, like 23. I hadn't been going over Norwich very long, and they headlined the Christmas show, and so like me and my brother-in-law just walked out of the venue after the. They were fucking incredible. They were completely blown away by them. And then when they said about their EP come out, it was great. And then like a couple of days before their EP dropped, their vocalist left. I was like, oh, okay, sort of thing. So that was the first time I'd seen them since the new vocalist had come in, and yeah, I just like deathcore, death metal, deathcore. That's still more of a recent thing for me. But when I still get that feeling like I did when I was a teenager, discovering new music, like that's a good band. You know what I mean? So and I did speak to a couple of them afterwards, and bloody top blokes, right? Really, really nice guys. I just need to go see them more. So they need to come out this way more. Hold on. So Joe has said, shout existentialist, real bad men. And Ian has said, Essex 23 reps a bloodstock existentialist. So oh, I've already lost what I was going now. But yeah, so yeah, I go just go back there. Knock for 6 going through, and then come to Norwich semi-final 2. We had Lease on Life, Wicker, Eyes of Nice, Gehenna with Go. Right, is it Go Death or God Death?
Godef, I think.
All right,
That's how I pronounced it anyway. Godef.
all right, and then last year's East Anglia winners, Cobra headlining. Again, another
This is
night
all
where
on you, man. I weren't there.
Oh yeah,
You can review the show for us because I don't think Darren was there either.
I was away with the band again.
That's right.
yeah.
Is that when you were playing in the woods?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, up in Cumbria, in the nice, just in the middle of forest with a bunch of black metal bands. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the only person. Sorry.
Obviously, I've seen Cobra from last year. They was one of my favourite UK bands at the moment as well. Godef, I think I've seen them before in London. But yeah, I'm not sure who judged that night in the end because obviously we were away. So must have.
Well, Chris was there.
Yeah.
Chris was there, and I don't even think Rory was there either.
No, Rory was there.
So who was
I
actually?
think he got Cobra. So as far as I'm aware, it was Chris, Lauren, and Summer Cobra.
Okay, cool.
Just giving all the secrets away now.
All right, so okay, all right. Let's attempt my professionalism. Again, it was another night where everyone stepped up. Anyway, there's a common theme. Everyone has just absolutely like next level. Yeah, that's my review. No, like I say, everyone stepped up and go on, sorry.
Oh yes, Sam, we're going to the Ipswich semi-final next, which was also tough.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll just write it. Yeah. Again, everyone stepped up their game. I will apologize now. I kind of went in underselling how good Wicker was in my head, because then when I watched them the second time, I was like, what the fuck? Like, these guys are like 10 times better than what I had in my head. Eyes and Honest, again, they just get better and better. It's like, you know, even putting bias aside, I just can't speak higher enough for them. Gehenna, it shows why they've been in finals and semi-finals all this time. Lease on Life again, like keep stepping everything up. I genuinely think if we could keep the way they're going up, like, you know, there's many finals slash potential winners at some point of this. Like Dan said, they're not the heaviest band of the entire lineup, but you know they've got the stage presence and very confident band. But my only actual negative side was I made a comment when I interviewed them, and because I'd said about how old school they were, um, and how young they all looked. I was like, I bet none of you guys have got a 19 a 19 in your birth date. And they're like, no, these two have. They're 97. They're the old guard. Fuck you, old guard 97. Fuck you.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah, so they wouldn't have got my vote after that one. No, no, genuinely, I like again another absolutely fantastic night. I like the last 3 years of me seeing things in the underground scene because yeah, it was literally only going over to Norwich to support my friends that sort of started all this. It just shows how good everything is. Like these are the underground, these are the unsigned or the 5 gigs in guys and everything. I know some of these bands have like, oh yeah, they've only had 5 gigs, but like each of them have had 6 bands each previous to that. But like the scene is thriving, regardless of which branch of the metal tree they may sit upon. But right, so yeah, Eyes of Nihilist were the winners of this particular heat.
Yes.
To which
So I was told, and so I said.
although the highlight of the evening was not the announcement of the winner, but who announced it and what state he was in, right? Which then led on to a decision that for what happened at the final, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. So, like Darren mentioned, the Ipswich final, which is definitely the heaviest of the of the 3 semi-finals, which we had Regicide, Heated, God Without, War Bastard, and then Wildcard Killer Core. God Without, the sludge band, in my opinion, was the lightest band going into this. And I'll be absolutely honest, out of all 5 of those, I thought that they were the most improved. Again, everyone else stepped their game up, but I think if you compared everyone to their previous round, they did better. Whereas like God Without, it was like that. Again, though, like I've said, another young band, which when I found out that members of their some of their members are roughly the same age as my son, that made me feel old as fuck. Yeah, and then we had, I can't remember who the headline was, and I literally saw their name earlier.
Macromorph, the Essex winners
From last year.
last year.
Yeah.
Another heavy band. So it worked out well.
Yeah. Yeah. That was all right. I'll be honest with you, right? It's one of them nights where I was the winner because that was a fucking heavy night, and that was yeah. I absolutely loved it. Killer Core opened up. They end up with the first draw again. Followed up by God Without. Regicide were on third. Followed by Heated and then War Bastard. Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant night. It was one of my favourite nights of the whole thing, if I'm absolutely honest. War Bastard were ultimately the winner of the evening. And well deserved as well. How do you guys think it went?
That was definitely at this point in the competition.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Right, as soon as you started talking, Will from Knock for Six has commented. He's put, "It was nuts. I had a little too much to drink. If anyone wants a good laugh, please, right? Drunk, unattended Will is fucking funny." Right.
I believe he
sorry.
lives right. Yeah, I believe he lives right near the music room as well. So at least he can get home somehow. But yeah, he was taking advantage of those drink deals. Yeah, it was a funny night overall. But at this point in the competition, I felt it was definitely the hardest. I think that's the biggest debate we had, and I think we asked 3 or 4 just random people. I asked my girlfriend Barbie. I asked her opinion. I think we asked the drum tech again, and then I had another guy, David, helping on sound. So we asked him as well. So, yeah, and then Lauren as well. I think there was we asked a lot of people, and it still didn't actually break it clearly. So it was extremely difficult. War Bastard were like the clear winner, but the second one was, it was tough.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah, so I don't know if you noticed, but I got quite drunk in Ipswich. I ended up being there until 3 a.m. nearly. That's the time I got back at the hotel, so I'm told. The music, I didn't get that wasted until after the show, so probably a good job. I was pretty drunk during the show, especially near the end when I did the announcement, but I still remember all the bands. Yeah, Killer Corp, again, they were great, plagued with being on first, missing their bass player.
Oh yeah, he was down in Brighton doing Metals and Masses again. Yeah,
again, yeah. God Without, they had improved. Obviously, they had taken a bit of advice and improved. They've since asked for more advice, which expanded on more. Regicide, they upped their game. Heated, they upped their game. And then War Bastard, I don't know what they did, but it was just like, what the fuck? It was literally everyone who ended up voting. I had the voting sheet, and basically everyone had picked War Bastard, so we had a clear winner in Ipswich. But I waffled on about how we were at a deadlock with the wild cards. So the original plan was one from Norwich, one from Ipswich, and I wanted to be sure, like, we have a wild card, they'll know. But we didn't have a wild card because we were stuck between 2 bands. Ultimately, it was Regicide that ended up being the wild card. And then, so we had our Norwich and Ipswich wild card. So before the show, I'll let you into a little secret. Azure Sky had already been chosen as the wild card in Norwich. So we'd already picked the Norwich one. And I was just like, I want to get everything out Monday morning, ready for the final. So we picked the Norwich one, so we went in to Ipswich, and that semi-final just completely threw a spanner in the works. A very drunk Dan at the semi-final in Norwich said that, two wildcards. And that ended up being a lie, because there were 3.
Well, drunk Dan at the Ipswich one said there was 2 wild cards as well. So, at least drunk Dan was consistent.
I've not seen that video. I've seen the Norwich one because you sent it to me. I've not seen the Ipswich one.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to send you that.
But yeah, so it was just like, at that point in Ipswich, it was decided there was definitely going to be wildcard from Norwich, wildcard from Ipswich, and then it was just like, can we, me, Rory, and Chris have our own chat, and then me, Rory, Chris, and Darren have another chat. And it was in that one, they were just like, Rory was just like, oh, can we put on another one? And I was just like, I don't really know. And Chris is just like, yeah, we can fit it in. It's just like, when they were messaging me, I was at the brickmakers putting up the, like, then changing over some of the posters. And I was with Claire, and I was just like, they will put on a 6 band. She's like, yeah, do it. And I was just like, okay, looks like we're gonna have 6 bands then.
That sounds like it took some convincing.
Well, if that's the thing, like Darren does the music rooms, he works at his own time, whereas we have to fall in with the brickmakers. So we are governed by the licenses of the brickmakers, and we have to run stuff by Claire, who runs it. She has to have staff for the show, so she has to tell the staff to come in. That's nothing to do with me. So she's like, "Oh yeah, I've got you down for starting at 6 anyway." I was like, "Oh, okay." So if we open the doors at 5:30, so yeah, that'd be fine. Like, okay, we're going to start the show at 6 and go until pretty much midnight. She's like, yeah, fine, great, do it. We had what, 350 people there.
It was
She's
pretty
no to
solid.
that. It was, yeah. That's why we kind of changed how the room was this year compared to last year to accommodate for the potential of up to 400 people, including band members. So yeah, and then we went into the final with 6 competing bands.
Just quick for I just want to catch up with the comments there. Will did say that he always gets home safe. And then Joe has said that trying to round up drunk Will is like trying to catch a greased squirrel on a sugar rush. Which and then Ian said that he's never seen a drunk Will, which I imagine that's a lie. And then Will sort of like basically said it's that's not true, and they're organising drinks. So yeah, so like you say, War Bastard going straight through. When it said about the a wild card from Ipswich, all right, when that had been mentioned beforehand, Brian was like, "It's gonna be heated or regicide." Well, actually, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. I'd had heated and regicide as the two, as the go through and the wild card, and then with Warbastard being announced, which rightfully so, I was like, shit, that's gonna be between one of them two, and I don't know which one to pick. I don't know which one I would pick, but because of how God Without had improved between their heat and the semi-final, I thought, oh, that might be that could be a dark horse pip in that wildcard slot. And obviously, like I say, Regicide got the shout. It's kind of similar to like what I'd said about Heat number 2. It was like, X and Y was, out of X, Y, and Z, any two of those was the right choice, but missing out was, whatever Z was is the wrong choice. But again, another brilliant night. So then we jump forward a couple of weeks to the final. There we go, there's a place for it. So we have Knock for 6, Azure Sky, or Wildcard Azure Sky, Wildcard Regicide, War Bastard, Wildcard Alphelan, and Eyes of a Nihilist. And again, it's a thing for me where it's like ultimately I win because I've got a fucking awesome night of music here. I'd narrowed it down to one of three bands to win this going into it. Not for six. That was that had been a from day one kind of thing. Al Feeling, like I said, like going into the competition, I'd had them down as a favourite to win, and then Eyes and Eyes. That was my three going into it. That because that was about as narrowed down as I could get. Again, everyone stepped their game out. It was just as the Sky had like they had a few runs of the new lights and you know no well actually no they did have technical issues at the beginning briefly but again that added so much to their performance and these where the hell did Dee find that guttural, right? She ain't very big. Where the fuck she find that, right?
I think she
and,
should go full arch enemy.
oh,
With her singing, I think she should go full arch enemy on that.
she like because they played a lot of newer stuff that they've been writing and I'm looking forward to it as a fan. I'm looking forward to it, right? I was a little disappointed that they didn't play some of the older stuff, but I fully appreciate that they A want to promote the new stuff and B they want to bring something different to the table. Fully appreciate that.
So since Ollie's joined the band, apparently he's a writing machine. Like he's just been listen to this, listen to this, let's do something with this. And
Yeah,
between so when they before they got announced for the final, they're like, oh well, if we make wildcard, we should work on this new song. And then when they got told, they're like, we need to do this new song, and and they came to the final with a bass player as well. So they completed the band as well
yeah.
by the final, which was good.
Um,
And like I said, I was so proud of them for how far they've come, especially since last year.
again, Al Feeling, as we previously mentioned, had managed to add their lights to it. Sorry, Darren, I didn't let you speak on that last one. Sorry, mate. So, I'll just quickly run my thing on this, and then you can add your add your thoughts. Like, yeah. So yeah, Al Feeling had got to add their lights. I'm a fan of them anyway, right? And right, watching them get to use the lights for the first time was brilliant. That I always thought their stuff hit hard. That stuff was another level. Regicide. Unfortunately, that was one of the bands where I had to watch from right to back because they're doing a couple of interviews. By the time I managed to get in, that was chocker. There was no way I was going to get much past. Sort of. I could kind of see it, and luckily there was a big screen to the right, so I could, anything I was missing out, I could just catch up on. That was chocker. Pit was got a mental. Not for six. They'd released a song the day before they dropped a new single, which they played. Pit was insane, right? They'd carried that same energy all the way through. War Bastard, I thought had the best pit of the night.
Yeah,
And I mean, they ended the night with a fucking chant, which I don't remember seeing that at a Metal to Massive show, if I'm honest. Off the top of my head. Eyes and Eyes, they had a power issue at the beginning. But other than that, again, absolutely brilliant.
Speaking of power issues, I am just charging my phone.
Oh, good, mate.
Yeah, good timing.
Yeah, like that. The whole thing was again another step up for everybody. So how did you guys think of it all.
I'll let you go first, Darren, on this one, and then I'll end it.
Yeah, bloody hell. The final, like I said, I've been going to Metal to the Masses. I've been going to Essex. I've been going to London. I went to one in Manchester before, and obviously the East Anglia ones. But I think overall, that as a whole, that was by far the best final I've ever been to. And then I got to remember I got to judge that, so it was extremely difficult. Again, every band stepped up. I think I started the War Bastard chant. I just felt like their set. They had a mosh pit from the first second to the end, and it was for a new band to come in and play like that. And also have that old sounding death metal, which I love. I was extremely impressed with that. Alfurlan, it was good that they got to use their lights again. I think they got the short straw. That's 3 times now. I think they've gone on first. But
it was this final, last year's final, and then the last semi-final.
Yeah. So it's a shame. I mean, it was very busy from the off. But it was, like I said, it was overall as a night, and obviously with Devastator headlining as a night on its own, it was like it was its own sort of mini festival within itself. So maybe the more bands the merrier, although it's a bigger headache at the end of the night. Yeah.
Just quickly, I said about our feeling. Right, I saw. I think I'd just seen like what the lineup was. I see Steph running around, and like she had this panic, like very uncomfortable look on her face. I was like, "You're right." She's now drawn first, and like she's freaking out because of the previous 2 times they've been drawn first. But like when after the set, we spoke to them. She said like they don't headline every batter show. They play out. They sometimes open shows they're at and everything. So she was trying to get her mind set into that, because just because you're on first, it doesn't mean that you get skated over, sort of thing. But yeah, sorry, go on, Dan.
So yeah, for those that are watching who don't know, we generally pull the lineup like an hour and a half before the show in front of all the bands out of a bucket. Like literally, the lineup sheet is blank until about an hour before doors. So the lineup is 100% random, and that's how we like it. Sometimes you think, oh, I'd love to be able to influence this, but you can't, because it's all chance. And Darren's seen it, and he knows. Literally pull it out of a bag, hat, bucket, whatever it is at the time. It's just literally slips of paper being drawn. So it's 100% random. And yeah, I feel for Outfailing. They had the curse of first this year, but their headlining show, that light show, brought a completely different dynamic. You got to remember, when they started, I'd already been at the pub for 4 hours. I got there at 2. So I was in a suit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, shifting all the tables through for the merch room and the B2, like, tidying up the green room, tidying up the rubbish that was left on the stage from the night previous, getting the kit out. Then we sound checked Devastator when they came in, and then I dealt with all the bands as they came in. And then obviously we opened the doors, checking people off, and then it's like, right, showtime. And yeah, Alpha got the curse of first. It's one of them things I did feel for him. Like say, Steph was, when they got drawn, she did go into panic mode, and you could see it's like, ooh. But we spoke about it after. She was fine with it. She's like, it's what it is. But yeah, that light show did bring a different dynamic, and I said I'd love to catch them at a show where I can see full visuals with all the smoke as well.
Yeah.
So definitely try and catch them at a different different venues, so I can see all that. Who do we have on next? Is it Not for Six next?
Yeah, Not for Six for a second.
Yeah. Then with their stage invasion, I was a bit, that was good to see, but I was like, I hope that stage holds up. That stage is ancient. Like, I have no idea how old that is. But I was just like, that's good craftsmanship to hold a lot of people's weight.
See, again, I was doing stuff, so I got in a bit late, so I was a bit further back, and then sort of like, I remember Will shouting something, and then like I sort of blinked, and I was like, "There's loads of room," so I managed to like squeeze forward a few bits so I can get where my brother-in-law was, right? And then I looked up at the stage, I was like, "Oh, that's where the gaps came from."
Yeah, they were heavy. They got the place moving, and as far as I'm aware, like I said to the people, just be nice to each other. If someone fall over, as far as I'm aware, we went away with no injuries. I heard someone lost a tooth. I don't know whether that's true or not, and I have no idea to which pit. But yeah, Not for Six again, stepped it up. They had their own lights. It was a band. Every band brought their own lights apart from War Bastard. So it obviously changed all the dynamics of the band as it does, because they can manipulate it to their music. Then we had Azure Sky. Proud of them, really proud of them. How well they've grown over the last year, and all the new stuff that they're doing is just sounding great. Then it was Regicide, I want to say. Sounds
Yeah,
about
Regicide
right.
was third. On fourth, sorry.
Fourth.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm starting to crash. I've been there a long time. It's just like, right, all the high that I had at the start is now starting to come. I'm on the come down, and I was standing the sound booth next to Chris, and I was loving it. I spoke to Ian about them. He said they've come a long way since when they first started. So that was a good opinion to get as well. Someone that had seen them from like their infancy to how they are now, talking to me about how well they'd come on. So that was good. Then we moved on to War Bastard, and that was just for an outside band to come in and have a pit like that was a great reception. That was it was unreal.
Yeah,
I
I'd gotten a little bit late again, like doing interviews and stuff, and I saw a gap where my brother-in-law was, so I squeezed in. As I got to where he was, he went, "Just be careful, the pit's fucking mental." I was like, "All right, okay, cool." And then they started the next song. I was like, "Fuck!" Just, yeah, because that didn't
So
start off nice and slow with like a couple of people. They just boom, fucking
it
exploded.
was pretty instant. Yeah. So that for me, that was good to see. Bringing bands up from Ipswich who haven't played Norwich or have only played a few shows in Norwich and are not well known, to get a reception like that is a good moment. It's good that the Norwich fans can appreciate bands that come from somewhere else. Sometimes you get like, oh, it's Ipswich, bring it back to a football thing. But it's not that. We're all here for the same reason, to listen to good music. I don't particularly care for football, so I don't really get the rivalry, but it's there, and I know it's there because when I say about people going from Norwich to the music rooms, it's kind of like, come on, guys, just go. You'll have a good time. I had a fucking great time. And then then with Eyes of an Eyeless, when they had their power issues, I started to get a bit like we'd let time slip a little bit, and it was trying to get stuff back on track, and that was the last thing I wanted, was to have issues. And it was minor issues, but it was still issues. But yeah, I had a bit of a moment, because I was like, right, I'm now gonna have to go out and speak to Devastator and tell them what's going on and blah blah blah. So I actually missed a few. So I watched the first song of Eyes of an Eyeless, and then I was like, right, I gotta go do the other stuff with Devastator. So I went and chatted to Devastator about it. I was like, right, just so you know, guys, we're about 15 minutes behind. They were completely cool with it. So But yeah, it was just like, oh god, hopefully, because we have a curfew midnight, so
Yeah.
can't really go past midnight, especially when people are cheering at the end as well. So it was just like, right, trying to get everything wrapped up by midnight. I don't know whether Devastated cut some of their set, but they finished pretty much when they should have done anyway. But yeah, it was great. Like, all the bands, it was a super good night. Like, all the bands were just on point, even with technical issues. Everyone sorted themselves out in the end. It was a really good time. And then it came down to the judging, which was not a good time. So we went into the toilet corridor in the B2 just to get out of the way. There was 5 of us in there, and I just sat on the floor. I'd given up at that point. I was just like, I need to sit down. I just sat on the floor, leant up against the wall, and I was like, right, tell me your winner. Tell me your second. And marking them down on a sheet. And so, because Chris was obviously doing sound for Devastator, I didn't have his vote. And then I was really mean. I was like, right, I'm not going to tell you who won. And I left the rest of the judges in the dark.
Yeah. So it was a
really
surprise
mean.
for me as well.
So, when I went and spoke to Chris, I was like, gave him the sheet, and I was like, right, this is where we're at the moment. You need to decide. And then he chose, and then I chose. By the time I chose, we had a winner. So mine just added to the tallies.
Yeah.
So it's just on the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it was the positivity I've had from that night, just from the bands themselves and from people attending, the fans, is makes it all worth it. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Darren.
Yeah, I said, like I said, it was definitely the best final I've been to. Having to judge it was very, very difficult. Like I said at the start, I think any of those bands that played the final, like they would suit the New Blood stage. They'd slot in right, like perfectly well. So hopefully the ones that didn't get, win it, hopefully they come back next year. Hopefully have more come back next year. If Ian wants to join us, maybe he can be a judge in East Anglia. If he wants to do Essex again, I understand, and I'll go support him down in Essex as well. But it was good having such a high caliber of bands. I don't know, highlights of the final. I think the funniest thing was some guy holding a shoe up in one of the War Bastard, and I had to tap him on the shoulder and say, "That's your shoe, mate." And he went, "Oh, yeah, he's holding his own shoe up." Like, I was like, "That's your own shoe, mate." And then at the very end, when you made the announcement, there was a sole of a shoe as well. Which
Yeah,
I
think it was the same shoe.
Guitarist from Devastator.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found it, and
I forgot. So for me personally, like where it comes to like who'd won, like I mean, like I didn't envy any of you guys at all. Everyone stepped up their game and stuff. I'd had somewhere between Not for Six, Alphaeon, and Eyes of a Nihilist going into it, and then everyone played, and it was like, well, that's all fucking go out the window. But I did say to my brother-in-law how War Bastard had, the crowd reaction and everything they'd done. I thought they might have been a dark horse to pip it. Which, like you said, it's hard to say that there would have been a wrong choice. But as we've said earlier, it's another young band that has like the whole world in front of them. They keep going forward. That's going to be a potential future winner. at some point. We mentioned earlier about band member replacements. I forgot to mention Tess, the bass player from that. She'd covered their first heat because their bass player was unavailable, and then about a week later, she was like announced as like fully part of the band. So yeah, I mean like that. It was another one of those changes that was like along the way. I forgot where I was going with that. I had something like that, and I completely thrown myself. So, unfortunately, I missed Devastator. I caught like the end of like the last song or something by the time I finished doing my bits. Which was a bit was gutting.
Like my mate that came from Romford last minute. My mate Gary decided he wanted to come, and I was like, well, whereabouts are you? And I thought he was going to make it to the last bit, and then he got delayed. And then as the night got delayed, I was like, well, that's good for Gary because he might see a bit of Devastator. And he got there for the last half of the last song, which was a Motorhead cover. So it was, that was another fun part of the evening. But we did stay out until 6 a.m. So we did have a good night.
Nice.
Yeah, I took Ian and a few others to the waterfront. So yeah, and then the rest of us went to the gay bar after. And next thing we know, it was 6 a.m. So we made a weekend of it. And I think that's part of Metal to the Masses as a whole. Like whether you're a band entering or you're a fan going to, you're always guaranteed a really good night. Yeah, Ipswich, Norwich, or wherever they bring in the top bands, and as a whole, like I don't think it is. Obviously, everyone does want to win that slot Bloodstock, but I think for an upcoming band or a band, that maybe has one or two releases, I think the Metal to the Masses, is definitely something worth doing because you're going to play to really good, well-attended shows. You're going to network. You're going to meet more bands in your area. You can obviously sort more gigs out in the future. But yeah, overall, I always think it's a good way forward for a band to grow. And of course, if you do get to Bloodstock, and then make sure you carry on pushing that as well, because you're going to get more opportunities offered to you, more festivals in Europe and that. I played Bloodstock back in 2012 with my old band, and from that we were offered loads more gigs afterwards. So it's definitely worth entering, is what I would say to any band in the East Anglian area. But yeah, we'll see. Not next year if it's all of East Anglia or if we have to share with Essex again. But yeah, either way, it's always a good night, always a good gig. So that was my final thoughts on the Metal to the Masses. Although I think we should have had Simon. Simon should have been at the final because he probably would have. I reckon he would have put another band through because he used to come up, didn't he? And sometimes we put two bands through to Bloodstock.
Yeah, so, a lot of times he stole two bands, which is annoying but great as well because it's like it shows the caliber of bands. But then you're like, yeah, but they were a future winner that we now can't have because they're playing Bloodstock.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a quick catch up on the old comments. So Will has said he's actually quite impressed they got a Wall of Death and the stage invasion, considering they were on so early. He's actually worried about it because didn't think people would be drunk enough. And then
that stage invasion was a highlight as well.
Then Ian has said that Mechromorph won Essex from first position last year, so that's positive going forward. Will did comment and say it was a beautiful stage. Knox 6 Boys have said the Norwich crowd are unreal. Definitely one of our favourite crowds by far. Which I mean, like, you just, again, I've not got much to go by on how far I've travelled and stuff, but like, they are. Every show I've been to in Norwich has been absolutely brilliant. And regardless of whether it is a Brickies or a slightly small one around the back of the B2 or over in Epic Studios or Waterfront or whatnot, it's like packed and full of energy. So, Ian has said, all the bands were great. Well done, Dan and crew.
Thank you.
Then Will has commented and said, couldn't agree more with Darren. Was a tremendous few nights. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that sums up. There wasn't a bad night. There wasn't a bad band. I mean, you know, a couple of technical issues and stuff, and I know there's plenty of people that will pick apart their own things of the sets and stuff. But you know, as a punter, I had 10 incredibly amazing nights. Without sounding over like selling it. Yeah, I had 10 great nights that I'd pay for again in a heartbeat. Yeah, the only thing that I wish I could change was I didn't have to drive there and drive back. You know what I mean? That's only been the only downside to any of these shows was the driving aspect for me. You know, I say if you said to me, right, the same, what was it, 10 weeks that was done over? No, a bit more than that, wasn't it? It was start of
Start of March.
March. So March, April, May. 12 weeks. Right. If you said say 12 weeks again, yeah, fuck it, I'll do that again. Because it was, and even taking, what I was doing for the podcast out of the way as well, right? I mean, like, they were all absolutely brilliant nights. I'd pay for again, right? Just didn't want to do driving, but I'm always the driver, right? So ultimately, Metal to the Masters East Anglia grand final winner, and will be playing at the New Blood stage at Bloodstock 2026 is Regicide. I mean, I think their positioning is something that they really wanted, because when I spoke to them in the semi-finals, they were on third, and they said to me that that was perfect draw for them because they haven't got the oh shit we're on first, and they haven't got the oh crap we're waiting around all night being the last band on. So I think for their nerves and everything, I think that worked out perfect for them. Apart from the fact that they're fucking awesome as well. Which absolutely wish them all the luck, and I hope they have an absolutely fantastic Bloodstock. You guys got anything to add to that?
I believe it was announced they're playing on the Friday, so there is still day tickets. Because I know the weekend tickets are sold out, but if you do want to go and support Regicide, you can go and get a day ticket on the Friday. Someone might be DJing after them as well. So
Self plug.
I know, actually, I think it's my fifth or sixth year up there now. But yeah, it is a bit weird because obviously, I mean, it's good for Bloodstock that they're selling out all the weekend tickets quite in advance. But then when you do these competitions, obviously there's a lot of people now that want to go. Like I'm sure, like Regicide's friends and family. But yeah, they have released more day tickets, so you can just go up there for the Friday, or you could buy a Friday, Saturday, Sunday all individually if you happen to win the lottery. But yeah, it was announced earlier that they're playing the Friday, so make sure we all go there and support them.
Yeah, I'll be there. I plan on being there some point Thursday.
I'm still yet to go to anything like Bloodstock or Download or anything like that. So it's like, it's one of those things that because it's like, I'd love to go this year. And then it's like, then it gets like closer to it, I'm like, yeah, this is no planning whatsoever at all. So it's like, my best case scenario is next year. All right, I'll try and look good for next year. And then next year comes out, fuck, I did it again. So I really need to
Getting
start,
ready.
sort of planning ahead. I like, well, I mean, prior to this, like, sort of for me going to gigs, it was always like with my brother-in-laws, and it's like, if one of us can't go, we didn't sort of like go to these sort of things. Whereas like now, especially being like, especially making friends over in with everyone over in Norwich or something, I know that there's going to be people there, so it's sort of it's definitely something to sort out in the future. Which I know the metal communities are very welcoming and stuff. Anyway, I know. What was it? I think that's Obi become friends with Steph and James before he joined Alphalan, if I remember correctly. They happened to be like a couple of feet away from each other, a Bloodstock or something like that. So, something like that. I sort of, but yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list to go to Bloodstock and that. So, just quick thing. So there's 3-4 punk like bands on here. Well, sort of Rory, I think it might have even been at the first Ipswich heat. He said about like, oh, we should need more punk bands trying to get on this thing up. What do you guys think of that? Just a little.
I think if they're cross like sort of crossover like punk hardcore, punk metal, then they should definitely go for it. But Bloodstock obviously is a heavy metal festival. They do have some, they'll have an oddball. Like I think I said earlier, Flogging Molly were there. So I think, I don't know, it's obviously it's a metal festival, but if you fancy, I'd say if you think that you could do well in the competition, or you want to go, or it's a tough one because there's so many punk festivals as well, but then some of those punk festivals have like metal bands. So yeah, I'm not against the idea. I think like I'm more of an underground like extreme metal like listener. So Bloodstock obviously over the years now has got more popular bands. Like this year is their 25th anniversary, so I fully understand why they've got like Slaughter to Prevail and Lamb of God and like bands like that, which I don't personally listen to. I'm more. I'll probably be on the New Blood stage. Like last year, I think I just spent my most weekend on the New Blood stage and the Sophie stage. It's also a great atmosphere there. Anyway, like if there's no bands you want to see, there's people there you could chat to. There's go on dodgems when you're drunk if they have them. So, yeah, lots of stuff to do there. But the punk thing, I think the We Owners went down really well. Lease and Life they did really well. We had AWAP, which are Ipswich punk thrash crossover. They did well before, and I could see them at Bloodstock. So yeah, definitely opens up. Opens up a lot more bands if there was punk involved as well.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, go on.
I'm all for it. I like punk. I have quite a broad spectrum, like I've said before in our last chat. Yeah, I'm all for it.
I think so. When I was talking to some of the bands that like, asking like, oh yeah, what sort of genre you put yourself as and everything. It's like, but, there was only about 3 or 4 bands that actually said, oh, we're like this. A lot of them were like, oh, we've got like, we're kind of like this, and we've got this and this, and like, sort of like we said, like when your drummer likes this kind, and your bass player plays this, and your lead guitarist like this, and your singer likes this, and your rhythm, but it's like when you get like everyone else's different thing, and, your overall sound is that concoction of like, you get someone who is a bit more punky, like Huff, for example. It was like they seem to have punk, metal, ska. I was talking to the drummer of Lease on Life, and he was like, he noticed like a reggae, a bit of reggae in there as well. Stacked all together. You got sort of bands like that was sort of crossover, I suppose, and like Darren said, that would probably fit a lot more than like just a straight up. I'll say the Winonas, just as a sort of I try and use them as an example. But I mean, like I say, for me, my musical thing is so everywhere on the musical spectrum or metal spectrum, whatever you want to call it. So I could quite easily go from a death metal band to a pop punk band and go cool, because that's pretty much how my playlist is, if I'm absolutely honest. I had something else and it's completely gone. Oh yeah. So something we're supposed to bring up earlier. Hit the semi-final two. When Drunk Dan turned up, and saw the evening out. Now you turned up in a suit, and everything, and after seeing Mike's wedding pictures, declared that everyone was to turn up in the final in suits, but didn't tell everybody else, because like everyone else was fucking confused as to why half of us turned up in suits and no one else did.
Well, they became kind of like an inside joke, didn't it? So I turned up to the semi-final in a suit after being at a wedding. I was kindly asked by my wife, do I want to go to the pub after being at a wedding all day? And I was like, well, Cova's still yet to play. Sure, if you don't mind dropping me off. Now, I don't live that far away from the brickmakers, so it's a no-brainer, really. So, yeah, I turned up in a suit. And Chris go, you're here. Great. Get on that stage and announce the winner. I was just like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. Because he's not really one for doing the talking, and I've grown quite accustomed to it. But obviously, I had had a lot to drink, so that made it interesting. And so after being up there in a suit and saying fuck a lot, Jesse, no, Jesse come up to me and go, "You need to wear that suit in the final." And I turned around and went, "Yeah, sure, I will, if you come too." And then Teggy's there with me, and it's just like, "You're wearing a suit as well, aren't you?" And it's just like, "Do I have to?" And that's just as eyes of an eyeless are loading up. And Mike overhears and he's like, "Yeah, we'll come in suits." And then it just turned up that, yeah, the people that were in on it, like yourself as well, just come in suits. I did put posts out on social media to say suit up, but either people don't get How I Met Your Mother references this day and age, or just like, nah, I ain't doing that. It would be
I
nice to
just
get
remember
full
every time I
fiber.
see you afterwards, it was like, just remember, wearing a suit in the final. Okay.
I'll do it every year.
Right. I counted 12, I think, in total, because there was the 5 guys and I was on the list.
Yeah.
Jesse and Teggy.
Yeah.
You and me. Ollie when he wasn't playing. And D had kind of like a bodysuit on, like you
Yeah,
would
D
wear.
dressed up.
She got. I swear someone else did as well.
Teggy's girlfriend, she dressed up as well.
Yeah.
I think she was wearing.
Lauren wore a shirt. That was her. She said she was gonna wear a dress, but like she's. I got a shirt on. That'll do. That was her thing. But yeah, that was quite funny because I turned up and I drive over in t-shirt and shorts because I want to be comfortable. And I thought because I did say to you guys, I thought, no, my luck, I'll turn up in a suit and you bastard be t-shirt and jeans. So, right. And
I'll tell you what, I could kill to wear shorts.
just quickly, hold on, we got Joe has said that drink driving dodgems is festival peak living. Festivals is peak living. So fair, all right. And Ian has said, sleep time, see you at Bloodstock, everybody. Good night, mate. I hope to see you again soon.
Right.
So yeah, I turned up and thinking because I had a change. I had a spare t-shirt and jeans in my bag, and then I had my suit hung up at the window. So I pulled up. I thought, right, I'm desperate for the toilet. Ran in the brickies. All right, I saw the curtain there. I poked my head round the corner. So I was like, I'm just gonna see where Dan, if I can see Dan. I know you're wearing a suit. I was like, right, I know I'm getting changed into now. Got sorted, got changed to the back of the car, and then that just as that Obi had turned up, and he was like, "Huh, you're not dressed up. Did I miss something?" And then everyone else like later on is like, "Oh, you're looking smart." And it's like everyone seemed to have missed it, sort of thing. I was like, "Huh, okay." So, and
Yeah, it was kind of, you had to be there.
but yeah, I'd be well up for it. That's the yearly final. The only downside to it, the major downside to it, was the fact that like when the pits were going, it's like I was like, oh, I want to jump in, but I don't want to wreck my suit. Like my jacket's already fucked. I don't want like my trousers are okay. I don't want to sort of, I don't want to sort of like complain that my jacket's fucked and then come home with like ripped trousers. So
See, that's why I ditched the jacket, went for the waistcoat.
yeah, I might have to get one.
Yeah.
But right, so I think that's everything just about covered. So as a overall generalization, how would you sum it up? The 2026.
Successful.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the best one yet. Hopefully we'll improve even more next year.
I can't say I agree anymore with you. I mean, like it's like I said, this is the second final I've been to. Last year's was fucking awesome, and this year's blew it out of the water. It's set a new bar. From the way you've described other ones as well. So, is there anything you guys would like to plug at all before we go? I think you're done
No,
for the year, aren't you, Dan?
Well,
you're
no.
lucky.
No, because, well, I'll let Darren do his and then I'll let you in on a little bit of a secret.
Nice. Yeah, I was just going to say for the Norwich crowd, I don't think people realise because when you look at the train times, obviously it says for the day, but if you go to the next day, there's 2 more trains that leave after midnight. So any of the gigs I'm putting on in Ipswich, like especially Mail to the Masses, you can just hop on the train. It's only 35 minutes. Then the venue's like 5-minute taxi from the station or 10-15 minute walk. So yeah, I'm trying to get more of the Norwich crowd down to Ipswich. Ipswich is very small compared to Norwich. We get quite a lot of the Colchester crowd up, but again, the trains to Colchester from Ipswich are pretty bad. When I go to Norwich, I have to get the train back at 11. But if you Norwich folks come to Ipswich, the last train is at 1:45. So whenever you feel like coming down, Knocked for Six are actually playing the Music Room next Saturday, the 20th, which is part of my festival raising money for Mind charity gig. I've got various bands. I've got one in August. I've got a band coming over from Mexico. So yeah, I'd say just check out Dead Soul Promotions on the socials. Check out the Music Room on the socials. Check out the Metal to the Masses East Anglia on socials as well.
Yeah. So I thought I was done for the year, and unofficially, we don't know if we're going to be doing it next year or not because nothing is obviously official until we run it past Bloodstock.
Mhm.
Unofficially, we have the dates booked in for next year in Norwich. They are penciled in already. So if we go ahead, we already have the dates.
Nice.
And it will all still be at the Brickmakers. If we do go ahead, obviously we'll hopefully be back in Ipswich if Darren has us.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know the dates and we can sort out the Ipswich ones. I've got a few ideas about trying to help people with the cost of living situation that's obviously going on at the moment. Some of the shows were low attendance. I don't blame anyone. Like, cost of living at the moment is terrible. I want to thank everyone who actually came to any of the shows. everything's expensive. You know, when a pint of beer is nearly the same price as the entry fee, something's gone wrong. And I completely understand why people don't come. So I've got an idea for next year. I need to see if I can make that viable. And obviously, if we do go ahead, I'll see if it's a viable option.
We'll definitely be keeping our ears open for that one, eyes and ears open for that one. Just quickly, Will has said that they are indeed playing next weekend. So if you're able to get over there, right, and well, I mean, it's a bloody good cause that you're raising money for, Darren. So if you can get over there, please go and support that. If you want to check out Knock for Six, fucking go do that. I highly recommend that. Who else have you got on there? If you don't mind me asking.
It's a mixed lineup where Kane are playing. They're sort of local to us. They're kind of Iron Maiden vibes. If you haven't seen them, I know you'd definitely like them. I'm doing a dark ambient set of my Escapism solo project. My drummer's doing a solo set. He's got like a one-man black metal thing. And then we've got Android Death, their first ever gig, which has got the guitarist from Erebus, melodic death metal. I'm looking forward to that. Who else? Vix, female vocals, sort of heavy rock. And Ghent, which I believe are Norwich based, a more kind of grungy rock metal. Yeah, there's loads on there. So it starts at 3 p.m. and it will finish at 3 a.m. So it's gonna be a long one. But yeah, Knock for Six. Hopefully they won't break my stage by getting everybody on it, but we'll see. I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll allow it. But yeah, it should be good. I'm actually in Norwich tomorrow. I just remembered Consecration. They got their album launched at Voodoo Daddies. So I should be in Norwich tomorrow, Saturday. I don't know when this is going out, other than the people that are watching live. But yeah, I should be in Norwich at Voodoo Daddies tomorrow as well. So.
Will has said no pitch invasion this time, baby.
Fair enough.
You've set a standard now, Will.
yeah. Actually, no. I think they have to do it every show now. That has to be their thing. So.
But all right. Well, thank you ever so much, gents, for coming on and discussing this for the last 2.5 hours. I really appreciate you taking your Friday evening and chat crap with me. And my unprofessional opinion on stuff as well. Darren, you mentioned about your socials. Where can everybody find all your stuff?
So Dead Soul Promotions on Facebook, Instagram, the Music Room, Instagram, Facebook, Darren Smith UK on Instagram. That's my main page, which powers everything else. There is a TikTok, but I still can't get my head around the TikTok thing. Like, people said it's good for promotion, and all I get is a bunch of Americans saying, "Yeah, this is a really cool lineup." Yeah, but you live in America, or so yeah. But I'm on all the socials. As for the Music Room, we've got metal on every week. So yeah, anytime you fancy a weekend off or a break, just have a look on the socials, and there should be a gig or a DJ night going on at the Music Room.
Dan?
Metal to the Masters East Anglia, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Apparently, I somehow activated that, so that's a new one. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll expand onto TikTok. Again, I like Darren. I need to get my head around it. Being old, I ain't got a clue, but I've got some young apprentices at work that hopefully can point me into the right direction. Maybe even a YouTube channel or something. Get some like highlight reels going. Yeah, always up for a new challenge.
All right. Again, though, thank you so much for coming on, gents. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank
You're
you
welcome,
everybody
thank
for who's been watching and in the chat. There's been a lot of the Knock for Six boys. But like still, thank you everybody for watching this. Anybody who's watching this on a replay, thank you for taking the time to watch it and everything. I have Obi from previously mentioned from Alphailin and the Blegh Witch Project on this coming Monday. I also have my interview with Skin Changer coming out on Tuesday as well. So hopefully you'll check those out as well. I'm hoping everybody the chat with Obi is going to be another live one on Monday. So yeah, again, I hope to see everybody there. Thank you again to these gentlemen for popping on. I'm going to stop sounding like a broken record now. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and good night.
Good night.
Take care.